Woo! Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome back to the second hour of LoveBabz, LoveTalk. I got Mistina in the house because guess what's coming? Anti-Mall Day. Mistina owns her and her beautiful husband. They own Lotta Studio, and a lot of good things come out of Lotta Studio. A lot of good things. But they've been doing this anti-mall thing for a minute. How long has this been? And where are you? Because that looks warm and inviting.
Maybe I could just say it's a really nice Zoom background.
Oh, it really is, girl. That's the best one I've seen.
Yeah, so the anti-mall has been going on for 7 years. 7 years we've been in the building there in Westville. And we kind of kicked it off within the first few months of us taking over the space.
Oh, I didn't realize it has been going on that long.
Yeah. I mean, there was we skipped a year with pandemic. Yeah. So I guess then that drops the number down. But
okay, all right. So how did it come about?
How did it come about? Basically, we just we knew that there was a lot of artists that were in our building and in our neighborhood that were always looking for places to vend. The Westville Village Renaissance Alliance had done the tree lighting events for many years before this, and I had helped kind of organize a few events that were based around that. And then once we had access to our own space, we thought that it was important to ride the coattails off of that event that had already started and just kind of amplify it in the way that we knew how, which was just inviting other artists to do something cool.
And so I got the press release. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I love this because in addition to the 12 artists showcasing their work at Lotta Studio, you have 13 private studios upstairs at the West River Arts, which I've been up there many, many times for open studios, and open studios turned into open source. The private studios will be open this day and will as well. And excitedly, some of the West River artists will be having guests in their studios on the second Saturday. So some of those guest artists are Janet Brody, Heather Gordon, clothing brand 203 Tree Clothing.
Yep.
So let me tell people who the artists are.
Sure.
So you get your money right.
Go for it.
So Susan McCaslin, did I say that right?
That's right.
Noe Jimenez.
Noe Jimenez.
David Sepulveda, who makes the best. Him and there's these wonderful mobiles.
Yeah, he and Semi started doing the mobiles.
But David is a painter as well.
David is many things. He's a writer, he's a photographer, a painter, a sculptor. And
has the best hair of just about any man in town. Dulio Jackson, who I know very well. Don Wonderly, Eric Epstein, Travis Carbonella, who is a filmmaker. And I'm sure a man of many talents. Many talents. Kate Stevens, who I have a bunch of her pieces of jewelry. T. Montgomery, who just got the Arts Award from the Arts Council just the other night.
That's right.
Talented designer, fashion designer. And Howard El Yassine.
El Yassine, yeah.
El Yassine, I'm sorry.
Yep.
El Yassine. And Karen Azoff.
Right.
And so now, when is this, Saturday or Sunday or Monday? I mean, Saturday or Friday? What day is it?
So when we first started doing second Saturday events for the building, the intention was to have a space where the community could come in and see what the artists were working on a very casual format. We don't really kind of strive for that perfection gallery setting. Like, we really like the idea that you can come into the maker space and see their process and talk to them about what they are currently working on versus adding that level of stress to only show finished projects. And so the second Saturday event, again, kind of started off of some other events that were already in the process. And we decided to just kind of have one established day every month where the community was welcome to come into the private studio spaces. So then hosting the anti-mall on a second Saturday seemed relevant so that all of us could do something.
I love this. So I have in years past gone to anti-mall day and bought things, and I still have them. Like,
yeah,
like
we
things
really
that
like
I've
to make sure that
crafted.
we're inviting artists that that make good things. Like the idea that you can support a local artist, support a small business, and really utilize that product and love it, and the longevity of it is kind of that works for everybody.
I love it. So are the artists excited about this? And how do you decide which artist? Do you put out a call, Mistina? Or like what happens? Do they knock on your door? Like how does it?
Well, a little bit of both. So I was lucky enough to spend 2 years working as the event coordinator for Art Walk that Westville hosts. So I really got to connect directly with a lot of these makers and vendors that were working hard to make a living in this crazy freelance contractual kind of way, and jumping around from markets and selling things online. And so there was definitely certain people that I gravitated to right away. The ones that had that nice balance of business sense and visual aesthetics, and their table design was well, and their product was nicely packaged and thought out. And I really liked to kind of invest my energy in promoting artists that take the time to really think about all of the elements that go into running a business.
But 12 is a lot of people.
12 is a lot of people.
Do you think this is the cap, or do you think, the first year you may have had 5 artists? Oh, I don't know how many artists you had the first time.
Right. Well, the first time we were still over in our original studio space where Pistachio now resides. And I believe that it was about the same. I don't think it was ever really more than 15 I could fit over there. So now that we are in the 903 studio space, I can comfortably fit 12 to 13. So there's a few less. So I have to be very careful about, not making sure we've got the same type of product being sold by different vendors, kind of try to eliminate the competitiveness, I guess, with the market. So we really try to encourage a good variety and some options.
That's a lot of work, because you have to pay attention to each artisan, right? And say, okay, well, we can't have 20 soap makers, and we can't have
exactly. And we try to do that with Art Walk as well. I mean, Art Walk has most years we pull close to 40 art vendors in for that, because we've got 2 to 3 blocks worth of space. But coming into the studio, it's a little tighter. So there's I would tell you that, so out of the 13 vendors, 12 vendors that we have this year, I can tell you that 10 of them are repeat vendors, and a few of them have been with us since the very first one. So the fact that a lot of these vendors thoroughly enjoy coming, they're eager to accept the invitation, it really kind of says something about how they feel about the event. Like, we try to take care of as much as we can for them, so that they just focus on their product, making their product and selling their product and packaging their product, and just like to kind of support them in the ways that we know how, with good marketing, good communications, designing flyers and promotional material for them to use. We've kind of steered clear of the printing elements this year, and last year as well. We didn't make any prints, but usually we do postcards and then small flyers to hang up around town. But we have definitely found that the social media platform can kind of better execute what we need.
And so is it just one day, or
is just
was it
one day?
Always one day, or was it a weekend? Because I feel like it ought to be a weekend.
You know what, that I would tell you that about half the people feel that way, that it should be a 2-day event. And hosting it inside in our studio, where the vendors don't have to tear down a tent or a table or put away their product at the end of the day, it seems reasonable. So I'm not opposed to maybe exploring that in the future. I think that when I had proposed the idea this year, a couple of the vendors were already booked for that second day. So that kind of made the decision this year to just keep it down to one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
what kind of crowds come through? Like, what have you
Ooh,
seen? I
what
mean,
have I seen?
listen, I know it's like
It's hard to count
pressing
that. Right?
bodies in there, right? Because
Yeah.
I've gone and it's growing to be a pretty destination kind of thing. So
It is. I've been thoroughly surprised with each year new people walk in and they're like, "Oh, this is fantastic. Have you done this before?" And I'm like, "Yeah, where have you been?" Um, but we keep getting fresh faces that come through. If I had to estimate, I would tell you that there would be between, 300 to 500 people that come through the studio space.
mhm.
Um, and we try to really think about the best flow of traffic, to accommodate that many people so it doesn't feel too crowded in there at one time. Um, and that's why it's a 6-hour event. Also, we kind of space it out a little bit, thinking about different times when the brunch places of Westville close down. Then we'll see kind of a little rush after that, or if there's a long line waiting for Bella's, then we'll see a crowd of people come through and walk through the space while they're waiting to get their seat at the table.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like it. So, do you charge vendors? Like,
Yeah.
like, how do you benefit from this other than
Oh,
supporting artists and
yeah.
getting people to see the studio and all of that? Like,
Yeah. I mean, one, that's like the main thing, right? Because I want to make sure that at no point anybody feels like it's too much work and they're not being reimbursed for the time that they're putting into it. I do charge the vendors, and that allows me to give up my studio space for about a week because I do a lot of preparation beforehand, make sure the space is beautiful, have tables set up for them and everything. So I booked the studio out for a week, and then I spend a lot of time doing social media posts and just making sure that the word of the event gets out there. So I want to make sure that I feel compensated for that time, because then it allows me to feel excited every time that this event comes up, and I know that I can dedicate a good portion of my week to just representing these artists.
and I don't think we talk enough in art spaces about the business of art
Yeah.
and what is required for artists to sustain themselves, live comfortably, make the art that they want to make, and not have to have 20,000 jobs behind them. That art making is a business. Can you speak to that a little bit, Mistina?
Ooh. How much time do we got, Babz? I mean, I think that's really a thing that I try to focus on. I mean, when we decided to start doing this event and I knew that I needed to charge the vendors, I wanted to make sure that they could not only cover the cost of their time and cover the cost of the fee by how much money that they were going to bring in the day that they were selling. So you kind of have to think about what you as the event person can promise to those vendors in terms of kind of a financial stability with what they're going to get back from that day. Because it's a lot of time to kind of prepare what they're needing. They need to take into account their expenses, their materials, their time. And you don't ever want to charge a vendor fee and then not have that vendor feel like it was a successful selling event for them. I think in all relativity, being an artist is an exciting field to be in, but you have to look at yourself as a business, or else it's going to just drive you into a hole sometimes, more than sometimes, a lot. So I think that one of the things that we learned very quickly is to allocate a certain amount of time to take care of everything that needed to be taken care of to be an artistic business. So you have to put in the schedule, you have to put down, okay, today I'm going to send out invoices, today I'm going to deposit checks, today I'm going to make my schedule for next month, and really kind of think about all of the other avenues that come into being an artist instead of just making the art, which you have to leave time for that. But if you are lucky enough to have somebody else, as a studio manager or a representative or an artistic manager being able to take care of those business things, and that's pretty fantastic. But most of us don't have that. So you have to just kind of make a schedule for yourself, and understand that, like for me, I have to dedicate time to pre-production, and I have to dedicate time to shoot, and then I have to dedicate time to the post-production. Because if I don't dedicate time to post-production, then my client's going to be sitting and waiting for their images for too long, and then they're going to be upset, and then they're not going to want to hire me back. So workflow is a big thing that we focus on as far as the business side of running Lotta Studio.
I love
Yeah.
that. I'm glad that you got to speak to that, because I think I want people to know that art is a business.
Yes.
And that we love art and we have our feelings about art, but
Yeah.
it is a business, and artists really do need you to buy their the things that they make. So so these artists that are showing on Saturday, they have their own following, I would imagine.
Absolutely, they do. So when we're doing all of our Instagram promotions, we make sure that we add those vendors on as collaborators so that they can in turn share the exact post that we're sharing, and kind of benefit from each other's followings as well. So, I mean, a lot of the vendors have a substantial amount of people that are really interested in what they're doing. And then some of them are, much less followed on social media, but have a great kind of connection with their e-news list or with face-to-face people. I mean, however you connect with the people who are interested in what you're doing, we just ask that all those vendors kind of tap into that so that we can, I mean, running an event and running a business, it's nice if not everything lands on one pair of shoulders. So, we've got 12 to 13 vendors. We've got Luke and I, and we're all kind of carrying, portions of it, and not really allowing one person to feel the weight, which is why we like to do as much as we can to support those artists on the promotional side as well.
I love it. Yeah. So let me switch gears, because I the more that I talk to you, the more I get to know you, and I'm such a fangirl. But you're not from Connecticut.
I am not from Connecticut. No. I grew up in Montana. And then I went to school out in Santa Barbara, California, which is just north of LA.
I love Santa Barbara. Yeah. It's one of my favorite places.
I mean, it was really rough. Let me tell you, it was rough living there for college. Really, really challenging.
Oh, the hardship.
I know all the hardships. And then I worked down in LA for a little bit, and then Luke and I moved out to New York to kind of get his career started out there. And then I was taking, portrait work and some of the smaller work. We were down in the city for a little over a year, and this country girl was like, I'm not feeling it. So New Haven was a great opportunity for us. We literally just got off the train and found an apartment. And
how did you know to come to New Haven? Like, what was the
Babz? That's where the train stopped. Like, there was literally no reason. I was just like, well, I guess we got to get off now. So I mean, it had a really great balance to it for me. I mean, I had access to nature and hiking and water, and trees and grass and mud. And I knew that I needed to, I'm the type of mom who loves to pick their kid up covered in dirt and mud and grass stains. Like, it just, I needed that for my kids. And then still access to an arts community. I mean, I know that there's a larger conversation when it comes to like what Yale has to do with New Haven, but I was excited that there was that kind of transient appeal to it. It meant that things kept getting fresh, right? So it's like you're not just kind of doing the same thing over and over again. Like there are elements of New Haven that kind of keep reinventing themselves, and that was very appealing to me.
Oh my goodness! So how did y'all land in the Village? And how did you know that this would be the place? And you bought this building?
Well, so we have the whole building leased, with the option to buy if it becomes available. But we will deal with that if that opportunity arises. So I mean, really, in Westville, like it was kind of like a weird love at first sight kind of thing. We lived the first 3 years over near East Rock Park, and loved that as well. I made a solid group of friends living over there that helped me in those first few years of new motherhood. Some great guidance and people that I'm still friends with today. Like, our children have just known each other since they were 1 and 2 years old, and those relationships are really, really treasured. So I think that, one, the price of rent was a decision, maker over there. Our rent was going up in our East Rock apartment. We were in a 2-bedroom and we had 3 kids. So it was a little tight. And started looking around, and I'm not sure what the first event was that I went to over in Westville. It might have been Art Walk. And I was like, oh, here are my weirdos. I'm really happy to finally
I
find
found my
you.
people,
I
my
found
people.
And I think that really, really quickly, I got swooped up by, the other mothers and artists and creators over there, and felt just immediately welcomed. And it was just really easy. I had a really, really easy time just kind of sliding myself into what was already going on over there. One, I think that they were looking for, a young mother who had a lot of energy to take on more events. And they were like, you come with me. And I was like, okay, just this like starry eyed and, not jaded and ready to just kind of take a beating with, everything that I was going to take on starting from there.
So you're right in the heart. I mean, what I love about New Haven is there's art scenes everywhere, right? Like
Yeah.
Westville is a hub, downtown is a hub,
Yeah.
Audubon is a hub, Dixwell is a hub, Newhallville is a place. All these little pockets of art, the Hill. So where do you see, or what would you like to see New Haven do with its art scene? And I'm asking, this is a very sort of, I serve as the chair of the Arts Council. So I'm asking this question for a lot of reasons.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a very layered ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that what New Haven does best is really amplifies young and upcoming artists. I think that there is kind of this weird platform that artists hit after they've been working in the city for a long time, where they kind of start to feel a little irrelevant. And there's that like balance of how do you keep, again, reinventing yourself so that you constantly feel and look like you're doing something new and interesting. And that gets really tiring. There's a level of excitement when when somebody is like, oh, hey, check out this new artist, or check out this new person who's coming to New Haven, and like everything is new and shiny for them, and it gets really exciting. But there's this, these different tiers of artists that have been existing and creating here in New Haven. And I think that it might be a little unbalanced in kind of who gets not attention, but maybe spotlighted.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that I'm excited to be kind of in that middle level right now, where I'm not new, I'm not upcoming, I'm not bright and shiny, but I'm also I still have this whole platform of artists who I am thoroughly astounded by, like all the time, who are a more seasoned demographic, who have many years on me. So I'd like to see kind of New Haven find a way to run a thread through all of those different age demographics, as far as like the layers of what types of artists have been creating here for so many years.
I like that. That's a good, that gives me something to think about.
Yeah. I mean, when we came into Westville, it's not like we reinvented the wheel, like there was a whole group of artists who had been there since the early 90s that had really laid a lot of groundwork for us to kind of step in and grow as quickly as we did. And so I think that that's, it's an exciting thing that when you're a new artist, you don't necessarily see that. You haven't been around long enough to kind of see the growth as to where things were and where they could go.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So both you and Luke are working artists.
We are.
And so how do you raise a family like that? Like, what does that look like?
What does that look like? Let me tell you, Babz, I'm sure my children.
I mean, your children are amazing.
Stories.
They're beautiful, beautiful children. I know them and I enjoy them. Yes.
Thank you. They're truly exceptional, right? So they've not only gotten accustomed to navigating New Haven, which is an urban environment, and They have the street smarts, I think, to kind of make me feel comfortable as a parent with them going downtown and running the buses or biking. I mean, they go all over the city, and I think that I'm comfortable with that because I know that they can, one, pay attention to their environment, make good choices in stressful situations, and yeah, and basically don't have a problem telling people what they think. Which parenting that can be challenging.
Oh, girl, I know.
But I know it's going to make for some great adults. Yeah, I mean, having I would love to have our oldest daughter, like, or our youngest daughter, write a memoir about what it was like growing up in our household, because, you know, there's definitely times when you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I have to take all of the furniture out of our house so that I can stage a studio set. And they'll like walk downstairs for breakfast and they're like, where are all the chairs? And I'm like, they're not here. They're being used for an art scene. You know, or when you have to, like, you know, when you have to have those conversations about budgeting, you know, with, you know, a 7 and 8 year old. I'm like, I know that you really want to, you know, go do this, but we have to invest in our career so that it can grow, and then we can do things, you know, all together. And a lot of conversations just of, you know, basic human things of making money and spending time doing what you love and spending time doing what makes money. There's just a lot of talking in our household about very real life things.
I love that.
There's not a lot of sugarcoating.
Do you miss Montana?
I'm the correct answer is yes. Hi mom, hi dad. I think that I knew that if I wanted to be an artist, I needed to leave Montana. But going back now as an adult and visiting, I see again how far that community has come in supporting the arts. It just took them a little bit longer to get there. I obviously adore my family, and I had a beautiful childhood, which was exciting. And the nature is a huge part, but I also don't really like bugs, so
I did not know that about you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I can tell you that we will never really move back and live there unless I need to go help with anything. Yeah,
I think everybody listening was leaning in to hear you say that.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll not be going anywhere. Like, where's she going?
I'm not going anywhere. Yeah, I mean, we have 7 more years left on our building lease. And I think that at that point, my children will be out of the house. You know, our careers ideally will have elevated to the next level. And I think that, you know, it's fair to say that at that time, we'll really examine like what we have done in that building and where it's going, and if we're needed as in the way that we have been for the past few years. Yeah, because I love the idea of, you know, building something fantastic and then passing the torch for somebody else to kind of take their spin on it.
Yeah, I appreciate that too, just not yet.
No.
I think you still have lots to do in that community.
Yeah. We've got at least 7 years. We're good.
Yeah. And let me tell you, you know, and I know 7 years ago like that.
Exactly.
You know, it'll go like that. So tell me, what is the best part of your day?
Bedtime.
That's good.
You know, I mean, I wake up in the morning, help my kids get out the door for school, and you know, usually spend maybe an hour to 2 hours before I go down to the studio, either taking care of my space, meditating, relaxing, like just making sure that I'm in the right mindset to move into a creative, you know, thought process. I think that I've definitely been able, since my children have been a little bit older, to take that time for myself, which is really wonderful. It's really wonderful to be able to just spend a couple hours in the morning having a cup of coffee, journaling or doodling, and then walking into the studio around 10 to kind of start my day of either shooting or retouching, building a set, or taking care of other needs that come with managing a 7,000 square foot building.
Well, I want to thank you as the chair of the Arts Council for the beautiful pictures that you've done of all the awardees over the years. I mean, they are just, I mean, I think for me, that's the award right there. Like to be done up, to be Mistina, you know.
We're gonna TM that trademark. There you go.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
To be Mistina is a wonderful thing. I mean, year after year is just the most beautiful. I think that's the art right there. Like that, for me, that's the award. People getting their beautiful portraits done in ways that they don't see themselves. You know what I mean? It's very beautiful. So I just want to say publicly that is some fine damn photography, girl. Fine.
Thank you. I mean, it's really exciting. The Arts Awards are, I think I experienced it just as a guest the first year that I was in New Haven, or maybe not the first year I was in New Haven. It would have been like a couple of years into it, but the first year that I experienced it, I wasn't doing anything to be a part of it. And a couple of my friends have been the recipients of those awards. So it's always super exciting to kind of cheer for them. And then how many people have I got to meet and work with that I wouldn't have had that kind of connection to had I not been doing these portraits? I mean, the conversations that happen with these awardees, you know, I step away from it and I'm like, oh, that was really cool. And so I think that there's not ever, you know, been a time when it's like, oh, like that was really a hassle. Like everybody who walks into the studio is just open-minded and appreciative and super excited to be, you know, receiving this award and getting their picture taken. I mean, some people get a little nervous as, you know, not just for the award, but just being photographed. And so you've got to take your time to make them feel comfortable, ask them questions, and make sure they're ready to kind of perform and be documented before you even pick up your camera. That's half the job right there. It's just getting to know them and making them feel comfortable really quickly.
That's it. Well, you do a beautiful, beautiful. You and Luke do beautiful work.
Thank you.
And so I just wanted to say that publicly. So, so it kicks off Saturday.
That's right.
The anti-mall. I love anti-mall. It just sounds very revolutionary and rebellious.
Yeah. So that title, Kate Stevens and I kind of sat down, and her studio mate at the time, Sarah Bratchell, who is also a New Haven artist, we all sat down and was like, okay, like what are we going to do here? And we, knowing that the name was one of the biggest things that we had to like make sure we got right, because, you know, it's like holiday market. We're a little bit tougher than that. So I also like the idea that, especially this year, the anti-mall falls before Hanukkah, so we get to kind of encapsulate both holiday feelings and really making sure that you know, it's a shopping opportunity to support the artist, and it doesn't have to be for a holiday. Like, it's just, you know, we're just not big box stores. We are here to stand in opposition of the malls and make sure that we give the opportunity for the patrons to come in.
I love it. Thank you for your time this morning. I so appreciate talking to you. And I love popping in the Lotta studio. And I can't wait to Lotta studio after dark again. And
I know.
I'm throwing stuff at you like,
yes, I am ready. So I am taking, you know, I'm taking a lot of December to kind of get, you know, get what next year looks like. We have a few things that are planned where we get to kind of start bringing back some guest artists. I'm really interested in hosting some actual photographic workshops in different locations, which is cool, so that I can work with either hobbyists or other commercial photographers to kind of share some of the lighting designs that we've finessed over the years. And yeah, that's like really cool to kind of feel like we're coming out of the pandemic and I'm ready to hit the ground with some new opportunities.
I feel you on that. And I think you're the best person. So if y'all are around on December 10th from 12 to 6, the anti-mall shop small is happening over there on 903 Whaley Avenue in New Haven.
That's right. Do you think that before we jump off of this, can I name the artists who are going to be downstairs at the anti-mall? We said the ones that are upstairs in their studios.
Oh, absolutely.
Cool. Okay. So for the anti-mall, we've got Black Goat Milk, who, I mean, like that symbol is everywhere now. We've got Eric Davis with metal and woodworking. We've got Pistachio Print Company, who does screen printing. Ave Rivera, who is like the cutest ceramic cups and earrings and things that I've ever seen. We've got Alexis Brown coming in, who is like, talk about fangirl. I'm like her #1 fan. Daniel Eugene, who's bringing in some of his new photographic works from track shows and car racing. I'm hoping that he has some of his clothes that he's been working on too. Sammy Joe Jensen with Flora Apothecary, like great soaps, candles, smells, health stuff. The Honeybee Project with candles and
I love them.
Just so sweet. B. Meyer Studios, who does woodworking. And our like newest artist to this is Zoe Jade Phillips, who is our neighborhood rug dealer, making some rugs. We've got Dooley downstairs, Kate Stevens as well, and Kaya Smith from Smith Made Essentials.
Okay. Well,
Awesome.
There's a flyer.
Thank you, guys.
So I'm telling you, Mistina, you have to do this more than one time during this holiday season. I know it's a lot of work. I know.
Well, I think that it's hard to think that we can populate 2 days. Like it's a condensed shopping opportunity. So I know that I'm going to have a lot of people come through. And I just kind of get nervous of like spreading it over 2 days. And then people are going to be like, oh, I'll go tomorrow and then forget.
No, I mean
throughout the
December
year.
10th. And then you do it like December, like the next Saturday. Do you know what I mean? Like
multiple Saturdays in December.
Yeah. That's just my own. I'm just being my own selfish ask.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I really enjoyed talking to you. I really do.
Don't act so surprised, Babz. You know it wasn't going to be too hard.
So thank you. And y'all get out to see on Saturday and shop for me because I'll be in North Carolina, so I'm going to miss it. I'm so sorry. But
that's why you want me to do it more than one day.
Well, yeah. Okay, self-serving. So enjoy the rest of your day. And I know it's going to be a grand success this weekend. So thank you, my dear.
Thank you for the help in promoting it, Babz.
Yes, my joy. Right. So we'll be back tomorrow, y'all. Y'all say goodbye to Miss Tina. And Miss Tina, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'll see you later, my friend.
All right. Thank you, Harry. I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Bye. Oh, Anru is here tomorrow, 10:15. So get your Orishas in order.
Hi, this is Babz Rawls-Ivy from New Haven, Connecticut, and you're listening to WNHHLP 103.5 FM, streaming live at newhavenindependent.org.